Watch the moment a powerful person loses everything. A CEO is standing at a mahogany podium. A politician is under the glare of high-intensity studio lights. They are wrapped in the expensive fabric of success, but look closer at the hands. They are gripped white-knuckle tight against the wood. The room is silent. A single reporter leans into the microphone. They don't ask about quarterly earnings or policy. They ask a question that hits a nerve, a secret shame from a decade ago. In that second, the mask slips. The subject's pupils dilate. A bead of sweat forms at the temple. The jaw pulses. This is the security breach. The subject leans forward. They raise their voice. They point a trembling finger. They believe they are defending their honor. They believe they are showing strength by being authentic. They are wrong. By the time they leave that podium, they have lost billions in market value. Not because of the scandal, but because they proved to the world that they can be moved. They showed the hunters exactly where the remote control is hidden, and the world just pushed the button. To the imperial mind, this is a structural failure. It is proof that without an internal citadel, you are nothing more than a high-priced hostage to a stranger's opinion. But what if you could stand in that same fire and feel nothing? To understand that, we have to look at the man who owned the world and still chose silence. Contrast this collapse with the year 175. Marcus Aurelius, the Emperor of Rome. The man at the literal center of the known world. He is in the northern frontier, wrapped in cold iron, fighting a brutal war against Germanic tribes. He is aging, mourning the loss of his children, and physically exhausted. Then the message arrives. His most trusted general, Avidius Cassius, the man Marcus personally placed in charge of the East, has declared himself emperor. Cassius has told the legions that Marcus is dead. He has seized the grain supply of Egypt. He has turned the emperor's own friends into weapons. The Roman Senate falls into a fever of panic. In the city of Rome, the reactors are screaming for blood. They want a public execution. They want the general's name erased from history. They want the emperor to show strength. If Marcus Aurelius were a reactor, he would have issued a decree of rage. He would have broadcast his outrage to every corner of the empire to validate his status. Instead, he retreated into the citadel. He did not speak for days. In the silence, the panic of the Senate hit a wall. When he finally spoke to his soldiers, he did not call Cassius a traitor. He did not use the language of a victim. He told his men that he felt a deep sadness, not for the loss of power, but for the loss of a friend. He told them he hoped he could capture the general alive, so that he could show him mercy. By refusing to be offended, Marcus Aurelius stripped the rebellion of its psychological fuel. He treated the betrayal as a vial of chemicals. He looked at it under a microscope. He realized that the general's ambition was the general's problem, not his. Because the emperor remained unmoved, the empire remained stable. The rebellion collapsed before a single sword was drawn in a major battle. The general was assassinated by his own officers because they realized they were following a man trying to fight a ghost. You cannot defeat a man who does not inhabit the battlefield of your emotions. But the modern world has created a new kind of battlefield, and most of us are losing. Now, look at a modern specimen. We will call him the founder, a billionaire entrepreneur, a man who built a global platform. He is brilliant, he is wealthy, but he is a reactor. A stranger with 0 followers posts a sarcastic comment on his platform. The comment is petty. It mocks the founder's recent product launch. The founder, with all the resources of an empire, replies within 4 minutes. He is defensive. He uses sarcasm. He argues the logic of his product. The stranger replies back. A back and forth begins that lasts for 3 hours. In the eyes of the imperial mind, the founder has just performed a public demotion. He has accepted an invitation to a fight in the gutter. And once you are in the gutter, you are indistinguishable from your opponent. The moment you respond to an insult with emotion, you have accepted the invitation. Or worse, you are admitting they are your superior because they have the power to change your heart rate. In the archives of Noctis Mentis, we call this the leak. The founder believed he was defending his vision, but vision that can be blurred by a comment isn't vision. It's ego. The master does not defend. The master observes. Think about the energy the founder wasted, the cortisol flooding his system, the way his focus narrowed, the way his team lost respect for him. That is energy that should have been used to build his silent foundation. Instead, he gave it away for free. He invited a stranger to sit inside the walls of his mind. He let them eat his peace. So how do you stop the hunger? You build the void. How did Marcus Aurelius stay unmoved while his world was being torn apart? He mastered the architecture of the void. Inside the citadel, there is a space between the event and the evaluation. We call this the interrogation pause. When you are being insulted, your ego wants to zoom in. It wants to feel the sting of the chemicals. The imperial mind requires you to zoom out. Look at the person insulting you. Look at the desperation for validation driving them. Imagine you are an interrogator behind a one-way mirror. The person screaming at you is just a specimen in a cage. Their anger is data. Their insults are clues about their own psychological wounds. Why would you let a broken person fix your mood? Why would you let a person who cannot control their own tongue control your pulse? The master understands that other people's emotions are not your burden. If someone is angry at you, that is data about them, not you. It tells you their thresholds, their triggers, their weaknesses. If you remain in the citadel, you can use that data. If you react, you become part of the data. Imagine a massive, dark marble monument in the middle of a storm. The weather changes every hour. There is rain, wind, and lightning. Does the monument apologize for the weather? Does the monument move because the wind is loud? The monument stays. But silence isn't just a defense. It's a way to starve your enemy. When Avidius Cassius rebelled, he expected Marcus Aurelius to panic. He expected a move, a counterattack, a declaration of war. He needed the emperor's reaction to validate his own power. By staying silent, Marcus Aurelius practiced oxygen starvation. A conflict needs 2 things to survive: information and emotion. When you refuse to provide either, the conflict suffocates. Think about the last time someone tried to bait you into an argument. They threw a verbal hook at you. If you had defended yourself, you would have given them the oxygen they needed to continue. But if you simply look at them with a look of detached curiosity and say nothing, the vacuum begins to pull at them. They become uncomfortable. They begin to stumble. They say things they didn't mean to say. They leak more information about themselves while you reveal nothing. This is the power of the citadel. It isn't just a defensive wall. It is an offensive weapon. By staying still, You force the world to move around you. You're training people to realize that your attention is a high-priced asset, and it cannot be bought with a petty insult. But there is a specific way to practice this without appearing weak. This week, you will be tested. The universe will send you a construction site. It might be a passive-aggressive comment from a family member at dinner. It might be a disrespectful email from a client who thinks they own your time. It might be a stranger's comment on a project you spent months building. Your instinct will be to correct them, to show them. Your ego will tell you that silence is weakness. Don't. Apply the 24-hour protocol. When the breach occurs, do not respond for 24 hours. Not with words, not with clever sarcasm, not even with a look of annoyance. Look at the subject behind the one-way mirror. You will find that after 24 hours, the urge to defend yourself has evaporated. The chemicals have settled, and you are still the master of the citadel. When you do not react, the other person will lose their footing. They will realize that their hooks do not have barbs that can catch on you. The silence of the citadel is the loudest sound in the world. It tells everyone that you are the only one with the keys to the kingdom. Say, this is the work. This is the internal citadel. Stay silent, stay focused, stay within the walls. This is Noctis Mentis. The night is long, and the citadel is rising.